If you ask a lefty socialist or social democrat what was the main problem in the history, he or she could point to colonialism, whereas communism was always bad, as I think I demonstrated in my other videos, my other clips. Colonialism, it's not so simple, because colonialism could be murderous but also could be constructive. It all depends. It all depends on the government or the form of government of the colonial power, on the principles, dependent on many factors. For instance, and even in when you, for instance, take the two examples of the most constructive, for instance, the British colonialism, I would say. The British colonialism was really constructive in a very concrete sense of the word, because they were constructing railways and so on in India. They also prevented many and stopped many barbaric rituals like sati, when the widow was burned alive or killed and burned because her husband died, and he wanted to take her to the another world with him to secure her faithfulness, for instance. So this barbaric ritual was accepted by the British up to 1830s, because they were essentially postmodernistic in thinking. They said that it should respect the other culture and so on. But the postmodernists of those times were called Romanticism, and those romantics, they were of an opinion that they should not disturb those rituals. But later on they stated that maybe those rituals are too barbaric to be accepted. The same was with Turks. The Turks was the caste in India of people who were just strangling people on making journeys, and that caste of thugs, and up to this day, the thug is a synonym of a rascal, of a gangster in the English language. The thugs, they were convinced that they have absolutely divine right to kill those people, wandering people, and so on. And this was also stopped in the 1840s and late 1830s, early 1840s. So there were many constructive changes brought by the British to India, and some people in India, especially in Bengal, they still appreciate this input of British colonialists. Of course, there were some ill-made economic developments that resulted, for instance, in the shortage of food. But those cases also, the things like that also happened when India regained independence. Regained or gained, maybe, because India was always conquered by someone. It was conquered by the Sultanate of Delhi, by the Muslims, and so on and so on. The other end of the ladder would be, I think, Belgian colonialism, which was basically private, because it was a colonialism made by the King Leopold II, who had the private colony of Congo, the Belgian Congo. When he was, there were many very brutal laws and so on, and he treated those people very badly and very cruel, in a very cruel way. And when it was discovered, that colony was confiscated, and the Belgian government took it from the king. So it was not the case like that. The only colonialism that would be in all those murderous elements comparable to communism was just a product of a policy of one madman, Leopold II, who was just totally not interested in realities of how his private colony is functioning and how those people are suffering or not suffering. So, so we can see that with colonialism it's not so easy. When we say that, for instance, London